title, Against All Odds, is the name of the song. Put your hand together. Let's welcome reigning Calypso monarch of Trinidad and Tobago, Kareen Ashe. Against All Odds.
When my father ups and leave, I could have mope and grieve, but in my heart I did believe. With no father, I must try harder. My mother turn and turn, the midnight oil she burn. Watching she, I get to learn. Though it's lonely, depend only on the simple gifts that God bestowed. So I throw away big words like if, and I drag me load against all odds, against all odds. I heard the daily screams in the ghetto, but my dreams I never let go. Skin teeth friends tell me I can't make it, but my confidence they couldn't shake it. So go the place you're born notorious for gone. And by the age of 4, look your father gone. Circumstances tough, don't just sit and frown. Struggle on against us. The times were real hard like banga, till I thought I would have dead from a hunger. They used to call me names like Maga. Oh, you're so thin, like you're a sweet twin. But no matter what they call me, use that as a whip to spur me. And then deeper, more they scorn me. That was my ladder to climb higher. You see, when you're down, things can get worse. And the one got crowned, brother, no man curse against all odds, against all odds. No matter where I place, I kept singing. Though the gong in my face, they keep ringing. Started way back 12 and under, come away back from every blunder. So when they throw at you their insulting jibes, trying to pull you down with negative vibes. Make them eat their words, all them hateful scribes. Win the first prize against all odds. Growing up, I see in the heart of love and tea, real poverty. Mothers hustling for a living, talk about things to smoke, ganja till you choke. Yes, easy crack and coke. With friends offering, they'll hold something. But the vision of my father inside my head would pop. And I swear to myself, this cycle must stop. Against all odds, against all odds. Push us swarming around like a culture, spreading on the ground the drug culture. Smiling youths tell me come and taste it, but my fruits I couldn't waste it. To their peer pressure I refuse to bow. Never stoop to drugs was my silent vow. You thought that I would fall, but look who's standing now, tall and proud against all odds. Oh, yeah. perspiration, that inspiration. Talk about moving long, 10 times worse than sprung along. Every time I sang, hear them saying, what she playing? But my boundary is not for them to define. So the more they talk, the more I have bad mind against all odds, against all odds. Though they thought my chances were narrow, I kept my glance focused on the sparrow. Once you see your mind, could conceive it. In the fullness of time, you'll achieve it. So don't waste no time in picture and row. No, to mediocrity, refuse to bow. You want to keep you down, you just tell them chow. And then rise against all odds. Thank you. I said rise against all odds. Rise and rise.
Against all odds. Karina Shea. We had her last night. Had her again tonight. One of the young sensations of the art form. Against all odds. And so many of us can identify with that thesis. Against all odds. Given where we come from, we're not supposed to be where we are, but we keep moving against all odds. Coming from the bowels of poverty, against all odds. There are those in society who feel that those of us who have made it up from the social bottom, we still must not speak. We still must not speak. Against all odds. Against all odds. And if we move that truism to the political arena, there are those who have already decided who will win the next election and who is this and who is that. But we have to brush those things aside and keep moving on, keep moving up against all odds. You know, the other day, the Chronicle sent a young reporter to our press conference to make mischief. How many members the WPA have? I didn't ask her how much is Chronicle circulation. Chronicle has the lowest circulation of all the daily newspapers. They print the papers, they give them away, they dumb them. Nobody reads the Chronicle. Even the supporters of the PPP don't read the Chronicle. Supporters of the PPP may read Guyana Times, not the Chronicle. But yet they send those young people to the opposition press conferences to make mischief. Because according to them, if you don't have plenty members, you can't talk. That's the new democracy we live in, eh? The democracy that we live in is that you can't talk. We are a democracy, they say. A democracy means that everyone has the right to speak and to associate and organize with whom they want to associate and organize with whom they want to organize. But the PPP says that if you don't have plenty members, well, they have plenty members. And they're doing plenty stupidness. Oh, yes? They have plenty members, but you have plenty stupidness. You know what people say? The knives in the market don't always determine the sales. Plenty members. And you know, it's what they're doing with those young people. You know, young people want a job in the profession, and they send them out to ask people these foolish questions. Nothing about policy. Nothing about what do you think about this? What do you think about that? An entire press conference where we're talking about biometrics, and we're talking about a clean voters list, and we're talking about cash transfer, and all they send that little child to ask is how much members you have. They're really playing with the minds of the people in our country. And I've been saying all this week that part of our struggle is also to keep our sanity as a nation. To keep our sanity as a nation. I would like to thank all of you who are joining us, wherever you're joining us from, wherever you're joining us from. Within Guyana, outside of Guyana, North America, South America, Europe. Welcome. Welcome to Politics 101 on a Thursday night. You know, I don't normally spend time on certain things. But I couldn't help but noticing the story of a businessman at Bladen Hall. That's just down the road, just up the road from Buxton. Who apparently saw a man who turned out to be a vagrant taking up a couple of guineas from his yard. And that man discharged his weapon and killed that man who turned out to be a vagrant for 2 guineas. Now, even if the man wasn't a vagrant, that is where we have gotten. Kill a man for 2 guineas. He peep out and he see a man taking out 2 guineas from his yard, and he shoot that man. Left the man lie down there. And apparently went to the station and give the station its own version, the police station. And you know what? They put the man on station bail. You see, that's the democracy that the PPP wants us to live in. A big businessman, a guy picking up 2 Guinness or Heineken, whatever, from a yard. Apparently, he sells liquor and he has the liquor in his yard. And the guy, the gentleman, I think his name is Mr. Carter, according to him, interfere with 2 Guinness. That man shoot that man dead. Shoot that man dead. That's the kind of Guyana that the PPP has us living in. That's the kind of Guyana. Shoot that man according to him. We don't know if it's true, but even if it's true, that this man went into his yard and take 2 Guinness or 2 Heineken, and he look out and sit and shoot the man, kill that man. And to add insult to injury, the police put him on $1 million station bail. You kill a man and you get put on station bail. You first of all kill a man for 2 Guinness. Your life is not in danger, so you can't claim self-defense. It's not bandit who come in your house and stick you up. If the man was a vagrant, obviously we know what vagrants look like. But even if the man wasn't a vagrant, you stay in your house, not under any danger, and you kill that man. And then the police put you on station bail. That is the democracy that Jack Dio would spend today talking about. I am saying to you all, I really don't think Guyana going nice, you know. I am just hoping that please, you all make a liar of me. But I fear Guyana will not end nice. How much longer are we going to take that? How much longer are we going to take that? When people behave like that, it is because they feel empowered to behave like that. Is we run things. Is we run things. So if I see a man come in and pick up 2 Guinness from the yard, I have the license to kill him. You know, the last time that was the order of the day, it was on the slave plantation, when the slave was the property of the owner. And if the slave damaged something on the plantation owner cut off one finger. Nobody did anything. That was his right because that was his property. But we're back. We're back. We're back in Guyana to that point. And you see, people like that are endangering a whole group of people. Because here is an East Indian powerhouse, powerful man, rich man. See an African vagrant taking 2 beer or Guinness from a yard, and he feels that the way that you deal with that is to shoot him. First of all, you feel a sense of power that you can do it. Nobody will shoot a man, kill him, just like that. You hesitate even to cuff a man. But you gonna kill a man? When you are not under threat, your life is not under threat. You must be thinking that you can do it and get away with it. And then that man with dark skin clearly If you're going to shoot him and kill him for 2 guineas, you do not feel that his life is worth anything. No, I can't go in the businessman head and say he shoot the man because the man black, and that he feels as an East Indian, he has the right to shoot the man. I cannot go in his head. I do not know. I do not know. But what I do know is that given the way this PPP has operated, they've created a class of Indian men in Guyanese society who feel they can do anything. That I do know. And that class of Indian men feel that they have to exact some revenge because there was a time when African men, led by a named Burnham, took advantage of them. That I do know. I do know that that class exists. And I do know that that mentality exists among that class. Do I know whether this businessman said, I as an Indian businessman, I'm going to shoot and kill that man for 2 days because he's black? I do not know that, and I cannot say that here. But what I do know is that there is a class of East Indian men like that man who feel that they have the power in Guyana to do anything. How do you expect African people to respond to that? And at some point, African people, whether it's one crazy man, whether it's direct by 10 people, there is going to be a response to that, because ethnic triumphalism breeds ethnic responses. I have societies. And then what I do know is that when that class does the thing that that man did, they're protected by the state. In this case, the police. The police actually fear those chaps. You go to the station, they put it down on $1 million station bail. First of all, you kill a man and you get put on station bail. Second, you put it on $1 million station bail. Some people can say it's a big bail. $1 million is nothing to men like that. We don't even know whether he lodged the $1 million. But that is the Guyana, comrades, that we're living. A dangerous place. A dangerous place. The rich and powerful, mainly of one ethnic group, not exclusively, because they got some black men in that category and some Portuguese men in that category. So it's not just Indian men, East Indian men, powerful men. They got some black men who will do the same thing. These people are being socialized by the PPP. Because you know what? The PPP depend on these people with gun in hand to protect them if anything happens in the society. I heard Jack Dio last week with a statement, and I know people didn't, the general public didn't pick it up, even people who listened to him. He said, we are accusing the PPP of rigging an election when they were in opposition. That the coalition was in opposition. They had control of the army. And they said, we rig an election when they had control of an army. I heard that. You know what he's saying? He said, if you have the army, you are supposed to lose an election. And that is why they have sought to control the army and control the police. So they can do what they want with the election. They can do what they want in society. That is the man's thesis. That is the PPP's thesis. And of course, they now control the police and the army. Because you could kill a man, go to the police, and they put you up on station bail. Comrades, brothers and sisters, Guyana is not an ordinary place. And some of you all make yourselves fools. To go into Guyana and see two big buildings and see some fancy roads and conclude that Guyana is a wonderful place. In an autocratic society, the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, is not a reflection of the spiritual infrastructure. We are in very, very dangerous times. The PPP activists are not on the streets shooting down people because we are not on the streets. God knows if and when we go on the streets what they will do. But they're not in the streets shooting down people. Political protesters, because we are not protesting on the streets, so they can't shoot me down in that way. But every day, people are being shot down. The young man who the car knocked down and don't even stop, drive away, gone. People, family dead. The kidnappings. With all that we are saying about the police brutality of mainly African, but not exclusively, mainly African, continues in Guyana. I, as a citizen of Guyana, as an African man myself, can't be happy with what's happening. Yesterday morning, I was on Kidaki show, and those of you who were on the program knew what that conversation was about. Some of our people think that we are soft. We haven't been on the streets. Other of our people believe that such an analysis is an attack on the leaders, that we are washing our dirty linen in public. And so you see, our people are fighting one another. And I took the position that after 4 years as an opposition, we cannot look back at our strategy and conclude it was the most effective strategy. Because what has happened is that whatever our strategy is, we know one outcome, and that is that the PPP has been emboldened. That we have not done what most opposition would normally do, that is to deter those with power from acting in a certain way. We have not been able to deter the PPP. And I made the point that that blame cannot be put just at Mr. Norton's feet. It has to be put at the feet of all of us in the opposition. The AFC, the WPA, we must also bear some responsibility. It is called unintended consequences. In politics, you make decisions and you make choices based on what is before you. And you make political calculations and you make your decisions based on that. If you put your people on the streets, this is likely to happen. So I am not tactically going to put my people on the streets. And you may be right. But at the end of the day, there are some consequences of your action that you couldn't envisage. I couldn't envisage that our lack of forcefulness to the PPP would have had the consequence that it's having on the soul of our people. We have a bunch of frightened Black people, a bunch of frightened Indian people who, if they speak out against the PPP because they're in the belly of the beast, they're going to be pummeled. A set of Black people who are not in the belly of the beast and feel that they have to crawl. Well, Amerindian people, we know what we've always done to them. If you ask us 2 years ago, in calculating our political strategy, we could not have envisaged this reality. Or even if we envisage it, because I think some of us who are veterans could have seen this coming. But we probably didn't envisage the magnitude. That man, Jack Dio, said that. He said, they said we rig an election when they were in control of the army. What he's saying is that if you're in control of the army and the police, nobody ain't gonna rig no election against you. Nobody is going to win an election against you. The PPP understand that. Even Dr. Jagan, who was not a militarist, an extremist, and Dr. Jagan said in the 1960s, he was in office but not in power. And the PPP, led by Jack Dio, sought to correct that, to make sure they are in office and in power. Not legal power, not formal power, but a kind of ruthless power. You imagine if you live in Bladen Hall and you are passing that businessman house now, and you're a Black man, you're trembling. You're trembling. It is why we cannot play around with the coming election. We cannot. In the past, we have gone into elections knowing that they were going to be rigged. The local government election, we went into it screaming. We managed to stave them off. But in a general election, we cannot take that chance. It is why our bottom line has to be all the things that the PPP doesn't want, that we have to get it. And we're not going to get it by begging. Because you see what happens when we beg. They sit up there, Jack D and all them sit up there, and they make laugh off of you. Unfortunately, the PPP, because they themselves believe that you can only govern by force, it means that the only pressure they understand is force. But force is not something that you wake up one morning and say, I will unleash it on the society. When you're in the political arena, you have to be very careful with your use of force. If you're asking the government to be careful with the use of force, you in the opposition have to be very careful with the use of force. Because the use of force has the distinct possibility of going places that you may not intend it to go. And that is why the thesis of the threat of force, not the actual use of force, but the threat of force serves as a deterrence against those who are inclined to use. Do not remove your capacity to use force from off the table. And force doesn't have to be military force and political force. Those are extreme forms of force. But there are other forms of force. The threat to disrupt this society is a very, very effective form of political force. You don't have to disrupt the society, but you retain the capacity and the right to disrupt what is happening in society, to disrupt people like that businessman from doing what he's doing, to make it difficult for them to act in those ways. You see, thief man don't like see Matty with bag. So when you give up your bag, you give the thief man free rein. What is happening in Guyana, the level of government is not going to get better, you know. It's going to get worse. The PPP is not going to get better. They're going to get worse. That's the logic of politics. You're dealing with a different animal, you know. A different animal. It is not going to get better. And a lot of times we pay attention to the forms of politics, but not to the essence of politics. we have the big thing now about the joinder seat, where these three parties came together and were led to believe that they can split up the seat among themselves. And they did that, and GECOM went along with it, and the PPP liked it because it gives the PPP an extra seat. And they made the young lady the deputy speaker. Imagine you got 242 votes, and you're the deputy speaker. And then Jack Dio and them got the nurse who asked WP how many members they have. They made somebody with 242 votes the deputy speaker, which is the second highest official in the National Assembly. And GECOM said we made a mistake, but they're not doing anything to remove the lady. So, sisters and brothers, it is not just that the government, GECOM installed a government knowing that the process was riddled with fraud. They installed a government knowing that there were 47 boxes without statutory documents. So you couldn't correspond the votes in the box with anything. You don't know whether the votes are valid or not. They're sitting on 8,000 potential voter impersonator. And they declared a government knowing those facts. And then they install a lady knowing that it was illegal. So not only you install the PPP with fraudulent votes, you prop them up further because you give them now a 2-seat majority by putting this lady there. That is the dance that GECOM, that is the con work that GECOM has done on the Guyanese society, but particularly on the opposition. You install the PPP based on fraudulent votes. You then use the join the thing to give them an extra seat. And then you use your casting vote as chair to give them control of GECOM. Sometimes I know that you all are frustrated with talk, but sometimes we have to talk this thing through to recognize how the shit is happening to us. Let me repeat. You install the PPP, the Americans say so, knowing that there was potential and actual fraud. What do I mean by potential and actual? She sent 2 bundles to the immigration officer. He sent back and he said 173 in one bundle, 99 in the next bundle. That's actual fraud. You have over 7,000 more of those impersonators. That's potential fraud because we don't know how many of those 7,000 that she didn't send would have turned out to be out of the country. So it's potential fraud. You have 47 boxes, 12,000 votes approximately. No statutory documents. I am not sitting here and say all 12,000 of all 12,000 of those votes were not valid. I don't know that. I would assume that some of them are valid and some of them are not valid. So that's potential fraud because we don't have the facts yet. So potential fraud and actual fraud. No, these are the people who are saying Mr. Mingo and company attempted. What the recount was able to unearth was not attempt, was actual fraud, corroborated by the Commissioner of Police. And Madam Chairman had a chance to tell us whether that potential fraud was actual fraud or they were just things blowing in the wind. All she needed to do was to do a review of the election. And the review would have told GECOM whether there was actual fraud or they were just shut. She didn't do the review. The legal advisor to the government, the Attorney General, took the 8,000 names. And he could have gone to the police and said, tell me whether these 8,000 people were in the country or not in the country. He didn't. Guyana is a sad and sick place. Whatever you say about the United States of America, when Trump tried what he tried in 2000 to get them to change the votes, they had all kind of big inquiry. Not in Guyana. Somebody had to remove those documents from the boxes if they were put there by the presiding officer. Or the presiding officer did not put the documents in the boxes. And no SOP will tell you that. No SOP will tell you that. You see why the PPP was talking about SOP? No SOP will tell you that documents not in the box. No SOP will tell you that people voted who were not in Guyana on election day. No SOP will tell you that. So that's why they hold on to that shit about SOP. When you open the boxes, although it was unconstitutional to open the boxes, because when Mingo said, here are my numbers, and the PPP said, the numbers don't match with my SOP, Claudette Singh should have said, go to a petition. But no, she opened the boxes. And when she opened the boxes, she put up with the real deal, the real rigging. And she did the right thing at first, you know. She said, put them aside, separate the sheep from the goat. She did the right thing at first. She sent it to the commissioner. She did the right thing. But then somebody said, Claudette, you're messing with our power. And she didn't send the rest. By that time, all Tom, Dick, and Harry, and some of them in the media already saying, "Oh, PPP win, PPP win, 5 months," and because the Americans, they're going to jail left, right, and center, and then all of them throwing the towel quick. PPP win, PPP win. Then the Americans said, no, the PPP didn't win; they were installed. Jerry Govaya said we were in touch with the Americans. And as we were going into August, the Americans were going to extend the sanctions to people's family. He said it. He said it. So once you begin fraud, it's hard to stop it. And that is the playbook they want to use. That is the playbook they want to use in 2025. And the usual thing with someone in Guyana, we want things the easy way. It was Frederick Douglass said, we want to reap the crops without sowing the seeds. I don't want us to be caught going into an election knowing that it's going to be fraudulent. And when we lose, there are going to be two things. Either we cry or we broke up. I don't want either. I don't want we broke up, no, I don't want we cry. But if we go into the next election under the same kind of rules, I guarantee you, we're going to either be crying or we broken up. That is what's going to happen. The human spirit can't take more than, so we either going to cry and say, take me, roll over me. Or people are going to break up. Crying will mean that we are subjecting ourselves to the slave plantation again. Broken up could mean that at the end of the day, we may not have a country. So neither of the two options is attractive. That's why I'm saying I don't want either of the two. I don't want our people to cry, nor I don't want our people to just break up. But if you go into an election without biometrics, without a proper voters list, and the PPP is installed again, you're going to either get crying, weeping, and gnashing of teeth, or broke up. And somebody saying you may get both. I can guarantee you that. Not because I'm an Obia man, but because I've studied these societies around the world. And because I am keenly aware of how the human spirit works. The PPP understand that, They already start saying that our call for biometrics, our call for clean voters list is that we are not interested in the election being free and fair. We are giving ourselves an excuse to cause trouble after the election. So, like me, they know damn well that if they go into an election with what they're going, it's going to be trouble after the election. They know it. But what they're trying to do is to put the blame on us. They're not stupid. They have come to the same conclusion that we have come to because we all live in that society. At the end of the last election, 2020, when it looked as though the coalition was going to win, what happened? Lusignan, Bushlat, Bath Settlement, them East Indians come out and start to beat left, right, and center, including police. They start to burn left, right, and center. We ain't got to go far. They silence that. Because, the thing is only black man just burn up and fight up. The election was on the Tuesday. On the Friday, East Indians at Lusikdan, Bushlat, Bat, settlement on the West Coast, Bobbies, they come out and they start broke up, burn up, beat up. Because they were convinced, or people convinced them, or they convinced themselves that they had won the election and somebody was stealing it away from them. And if you do the same thing in 2025, people are going to block up the same way. Jack Dio wasn't on the ground in the Zignan and Bad settlement, telling them, are you broke up? But they broke up, and they burn up, and they bust police ass. Get policeman running. What they're trying to do with you all black people is to buy you all silence with $100,000. So you all will forget how they're killing you all men because they interfere allegedly with 2 beer or 2 Guinness. There is a serious calculation that's going on in our society. And it's up to us to let you all know what's happening. They like when they see we running and carrying on and crawling over Matty to get 100,000. And they love that. They understand that. That is why, God willing, we have proper elections. And our side gets back into power. They do not leave our people in that state where people have to be getting them crawling on their knees and bellies. We have to take some responsibility to it. Because we missed a certain kind of hard-nosed dynamic in the society. As my brother was saying last night, sugar workers didn't have to have their picture taken out to get $250,000. Fishermen and women didn't have to have their picture taken out to get $250,000. Rice farmers didn't have to have their picture taken out. But public servants and others got yet, you all have to submit yourselves for your picture get taken out for $100,000. Across the border in Suriname, your counterparts get more than $100,000 in the bank account, and the island start flow yet. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. They're screwing up our society, And we have to put a stop to it. But we can't fight among ourselves now, about whether we should have been militant yesterday or so on, I am admitting that we play the game straight, and it has backfired on us. We play a straight game. We didn't put our people on the streets because we thought by doing so, the losses would have been more than the gain. And we have to be mature enough to say that we got it wrong. But we can't go back and do anything about that now. That is why the objective now is not to back down on biometrics and a clean voters list, brand new voters list. But as I said yesterday, and I'm saying it again, that cannot be executed by one party. When the joint opposition sits down before the camera, not Nigel Hughes over there talking about the join the list, and he don't have confidence, and David Hines away talking about what happened in 2020, and he don't have confidence, and Norton over there talking about what happened yesterday, and he don't have confidence. We have to bring that together. We have to bring it together. The time for scoring points against each other is over. It's over. We have a clear and present danger, and we have to stop the posturing. We also have to stop the insults that come from some PNC people. Because if you are insulting people like me and Nigel and asking what we bring to the table, you're keeping me away from the table, because there are going to be people in my ranks, in Nigel ranks, who are going to say, it's the same old shit all over again. But by the same token, Nigel and myself cannot be treating the PNC as though they're a fly-by-night party, and we think some or the other we can. I am sure that the AFC and the WPA got some pockets of support. I'm sure of that. But we can't behave as though that support is bigger than the PNC support. We have to be frank in politics sometimes. The PNC people, and I'm saying the PNC people because I don't hear the PNC leader with that nonsense. I don't hear Aubrey Norton with that foolishness. But some PNC people still trying to make AFC and WPA look small. And if you do that, what you're doing is that you're hardening people from joining you. And by the same token, AFC people and WPA people cannot behave as though the PNC is a lightweight. We have to be realistic in politics. And I'm saying it here. Again, I said it yesterday, I'm saying it's a major shame that after we managed to get on that stage in Buxton 4 months ago and held our hands up, we have not had one meeting together, the three of us, since then. It's a major shame. And I take my full responsibility. Even as we are dying, we are being beaten We are still behaving as though we got space and time to fight one another. Do I agree with every position of the PNC? No. Do I agree with every position of the AFC? No. But I have more in agreement with the AFC and the PNC than I have with the PPP. Fundamentally, not just on issues and policies. I have fundamentally more in common politically with AFC and PNC, although I disagree with some of their positions. But fundamentally, I have more in common with them than I have with the PPP. That's how you bring coalitions together. And all of us can't be presidential candidate. It's one we gotta be it. And some people gotta be big. Do I think that I have the ability to be a president? Oh, damn well, yes. But I take myself out of that. Not because I don't feel I can be a president, but because one has to be realistic in politics. One has to be realistic in politics. And very importantly, I don't have strategists speaking to me. My strategists for now are my party members. We meet every week and we strategize. We don't have strategists. We don't have money people coming and think me. So in that sense, we are free. I'm not saying that my brothers on the other two parties got to be like us. Perhaps they're more attractive and the money people will go to them and they can afford strategists and so on. But I'm saying that at some point, we have to stop this dancing around and recognize that if we do not remove the PPP from office at the coming election, we are going to subject our people to the worst kind of serfdom, slavery. Sometimes as politicians, we overthink, because we are thinking strategy and we are not thinking about what's actually happening around us. So we come up with strategies that are gleaned from outer space and have little or nothing to do with what's happening in society around us. Look at the cash grant. We in the opposition, we in what is now called the opposition, we missed the beat. When the WPA and Clive Thomas put that thing on the table in 2018, our partners in the AFC, APNU, all kinds of reasons why it shouldn't happen. Now look how people are fighting and bending and beating up, falling over one another for it. We could have done like the Surinamese. Go to Parliament, pass a law. Let the PPP come in and get rid of that law. We could have gotten a law, guaranteeing our people it. But we come up with all kind of theories as to why it's not a good idea. And then the PPP come, take an idea that they themselves don't believe in. They don't believe in cash transfer. They take it, they nasty it. But even in this nasty state, our people are falling over one another for it. When we could have guaranteed them it. But no, it come from a small party. We can't make that mistake going forward. The only way we are going to be able to salvage something in the coming months for our supporters is if the three leaders get off their backsides and start listening to their own people and stop listening to strategies. Your people are calling for a coalition, are calling for us to get together. And we are off in safe place, working out strategies. I'm not saying strategies are not important. We have to work out our own strategies. But my God, while we're working out strategy, we got to keep our people together. We got to keep our people together. And we are not doing that. We are not doing that. The PNC can get 49%. They still need 1% more plus one. The AFC can get 10%. They still need 40% plus one. The WPA can get 5%. They still need 45% plus one. You are going to light some fire under the backside of these leaders. And it includes me. I'm not taking myself out of it. They're playing around. But people are shooting our people for 2 big guineas and getting $1 million bail. They're playing around. I know they got PNCP play. I know they got AFCP play. I know they got WPAP play. You are tell them, David Hines said, they're making themselves jackasses by playing around. Why our people are being killed left, right, and center, killed physically, killed mentally, killed psychologically. I'm tired of it. And I love Aubrey, I love Nigel. And I love David Hines. But they're playing around. They don't understand what they're facing. PNC get press conference on Fridays, tomorrow. AFC get press conference on Friday. WPA get press conference on Monday. Where is the joint press conference? Thief man I like to see Matty with bag. But where are we bag there? We got a little caucus bag. Where is the real big bag? So if you all see Nigel, you all see Aubrey, you all see David, tell them what I say tonight. The Lion of Judah must break every chain and win us the victory again and again. We cannot continue to allow the PPP to walk, to break the law. I love what my brother Lincoln said 2 days ago, that we need to be, but I need to tell Lincoln the TUC also needs to be goddamn militant. I want Lincoln to understand that. Lincoln is right. He's with me. I'm with him in saying that the opposition should be more militant, but the TUC should be more damn militant too. If you all see Lincoln, tell you, I said so. The teachers had the PPP by the balls. And where were the other unions in the TUC, Lincoln? And Lincoln is my friend. He's my friend. He's my personal friend. You all know that. Lincoln and me is more friend than Aubrey and Nigel. But Lincoln cannot sit there and tell the opposition that they must be militant and not tell himself that himself should be more militant. You hear what I'm telling you all? Tell the WPA that David Hines say that the WPA should be more damn militant too. I'm not taking myself out of it. All of us should be more militant. And the reason we're not militant is because we are not together. Lincoln, I love you. And I agree with what you said at the press conference 2 days ago. But turn the mirror to yourself also. Where is the trade union militancy? Trade unions had an opportunity to be militant because the teachers were out there for 70-something days, militant for 70-something days. They led us, they showed us what militancy can do. And neither the political parties nor the other unions stepped forward and gave those teachers the kind of support that they needed. In the end, they were rolled over by the PPP. So I'm not sparing anybody tonight, including myself. You don't got to go and lick down any place. You don't got to go. But don't tell me that I can't march on Regent Street because they got business place on Regent Street. The road make to walk on Carnival Day. So said the Lord Kitchener. The road make to walk. Don't tell me I can't protest on Regent Street because you got businessmen there and business places. Business people got the right to shoot my brothers, and I don't have the right to protest in the business district. What the hell are you all telling me? What are you all telling me? Since when the businessman is better than me? I can't go and protest on Regent Street because I got business, but businessmen can shoot our people for 2 guineas. Guanso. We are tolerating a country that has become a plantation and we don't even realize it. We are tolerating shit. Strategy. And you frustrate your own people that will turn against you. You frustrate your own people, they'll turn against you. I gone until tomorrow night. But I ain't done. I gone. But I ain't done.